welcome back to another video. Now, today's video, guys, I'm going to be doing another original series Goosebumps book review for number 13, which is Piano Lessons Can Be Murder. First, as always, I do have a few announcements to make. So, actually, Piano Lessons Can Be Murder, I finished this about 4 to 5 days ago, and I was really busy, so I couldn't get the review in, but I also finished in after Piano Lessons Can Be Murder in a very quick amount of time as well, The Haunted Mask 2. So after Piano Lessons Can Be Murder, I'm probably going to be recording the Haunted Mask 2 review as well, so look forward to that coming up as well. And I think I was going to do a video telling you guys my thoughts over the mid-chapter update. I know I'm a little bit late to that, but I know they haven't put it onto the PTB yet. They've just they've made the notes for the patch notes for it and stuff like that, so it's not on the PTB yet. So I think I'm still in the right amount of time to make that video and tell you guys my thoughts on the mid-chapter update before it does release onto live servers. And yeah, those are pretty much the videos that are going to be coming pretty soon. Still looking forward to gathering quite a bit of stuff before I do the updated Goosebumps collection. I know you guys are really anticipating for it. But it's not just because I want you guys to really have to wait or whatever. There are a lot of things that I do want to get before I do the updated Goosebumps collection. And that way we can make it a good wait and not just, a quick rapid-fire wait. Although already in this amount of time, there is a lot of new stuff that I've gotten over the past year. So other than that, read the community posts so that you can stay up to date with any potential future changes, and join the Discord. Link is always in the description of every video. Other than that, let's get on to the review. So before I say anything about the book, I decided after my last review, where I didn't include any spoilers, that I would include spoilers in all the future reviews, just to make it easier on me to explain the plot and everything like that, and what I think about the plot and stuff like that. I'm still going to go over the plot so that I can remember all the things, and I can remember what things I liked and what things I didn't like about it and stuff like that. But I just found it much easier if I do include spoilers and I do talk about everything, so that I don't have to avoid little aspects here and there. Because most of the time when I try to avoid it, I'll end up saying something that maybe gives you a little bit too much information. So it just makes it easier on me so that I don't have to take multiple takes trying to avoid spoilers as much as possible. So in all of the rest of my reviews, if you don't care about spoilers, fine, you can watch the review. But if you have read the book, then this is going to be the review for you. And I think it makes more sense as a review, right, if you are actually going over the plot details and specific things and not trying to avoid things. I think it makes more sense if you're watching this review because you have read the book and you do know all the details and you want to see if your opinion is similar to mine. So if you have not read the book and you don't care about spoilers, you're just like, okay, I'll watch this video and I'll know exactly what to expect. Fine, I don't care, it's not going to hurt my feelings, but just so you know, if you are not a person who is a fan of spoilers, don't watch this video, because this is going to be a full review going into detail about stuff that I liked and I didn't like specifically to the plot. It's just going to make it a hell of a lot easier on me. So other than that, let's get on to the review. So I do not have any other alternative copies to Piano Lessons Can Be Murder. I know there's like early 2000s reprint or anything like that, but I have not gotten that. There's no modern day reprint. So I just have the original copy, which I think if you are a person who does not like spoilers, this cover gives away quite a bit. I wish it was kind of like a different color, maybe just showing a ghost instead of two hands. Kind of gives away a little bit too much about the stuff. But yeah, let's just go over what this book is about. Basically, it's about this kid named, I already forgot his name. Oh yes, Jerry. He has a lot of nicknames and stuff. Jer, like his dad calls him Jer in the book sometimes, but his full name is Jerome. But most of the time, he's being called Jerry in this book. So there's this kid named Jerry, who surprisingly is an only child. In a lot of Goosebumps books, usually they have at least one older sister or one younger brother. That's usually the way it goes. But not in very many Goosebumps books. I think this is the only Goosebumps book that I've read where it's there's actually an only child. So Jerry's an only child with his two parents who moved into this new house out of town, and pretty much everything's going normal until they find a piano in I think it's the attic in the book. Yes, the attic in the book. In the episode, however, they find an old piano in the basement instead. Not really that big of a deal. It doesn't really change anything. But in this book, he finds this old piano in the attic, tells his parents about it, and his parents suggest, well, maybe you should take piano lessons, and he agrees to do that. And before he starts doing piano lessons, he starts noticing strange things in the middle of the night, where he can hear a very sad melody, and it's the same melody every night of the piano playing. So every night he goes to check who's doing it and stuff like that. And eventually in the book, he figures out that there's this old ghost lady who's playing the piano. And in the book, she tells him to stay away from the piano lesson school or whatever. At first, he starts taking piano lessons at home, but later on, he does eventually get to go to the school, in which things get a lot more interesting. When he goes to the school, his instructor, by the way, is named Dr. Shriek. Jerry kind of describes Dr. Shriek as he kind of looks like Santa Claus, except he doesn't have a beard. He has like a very curly mustache, but other than that, he wears a big red coat. He's got white hair. He's kind of fat like Santa Claus, so he looks kind of like Santa Claus. So his instructor is Dr. Shriek. And when he goes into this piano school and he takes lessons, Dr. Shriek is very strange. And in this book, it is really, really weird having to listen to a guy say, "You have excellent hands," and stuff like that. And even worse in the episode, when you actually have to watch the dude hold his hands and say, "Oh, beautiful." Oh my god. It's a really, really weird part of this book, and it makes it even more creepy, which I do, in fact, like. But it's just really, really creepy. And it kind of screams to me a little bit predatorial, if you will. But besides Dr. Streak acting strange, the school is a little bit strange as well. There's these long and narrow hallways, and he never sees anybody out in the hallways. He only looks into the room to see, all the time, it's one instructor, and then it is a student that the instructor is teaching, and the instructor is kind of nodding his head to the tone and stuff like that. But he never sees anybody in the hallways. The only person he managed to encounter in the hallways was Mr. Toggle. And Mr. Toggle, he met him when he was going through the hallways, and he saw what he thought was a monster, but it turns out to be just one of Mr. Toggle's animatronics that he created, which is a floor sweeper for the Shriek School. And Mr. Toggle, at some point in the book, shows him into his room of all his animatronics and creations. Dr. Shriek likes to call him a mechanical genius and stuff like that. And he's kind of funny at first, although he's kind of funny at first, kind of charming. He's kind of like the only thing that Jerry likes about the school. But eventually, Mr. Toggle is not going to save him from not wanting to take piano lessons anymore, because Jerry's just not having fun taking piano lessons. The ghost tells him not to go to the Shriek school. His friend Kim Lee Chin, I think that's her name, tells him about stories she heard about how the people go in to take piano lessons and they never come out of that school and stuff like that. So he listens to all these different stories, and he notices weird things about Dr. Streak when he goes to take the lessons, and he finally decides, you know what, I'm going to stop taking lessons. So his parents say, okay, just make sure you remind Dr. Shriek the next time you go. So the day he goes and he reminds Dr. Shriek freaks out. He's like, no, you cannot leave until I get your hands. So he chases after Jerry until eventually they get into this room where he sees a whole bunch of, it's this big room where he sees a whole bunch of pianos with just hands, literally just hands, like in this cover, playing the pianos individually, and instructors that all look the exact same, watching the hands play the piano. And once they get into this room, Dr. Shriek almost gets a hold of Jerry, but Jerry calls for help from Mr. Toggle because he kind of trusted Mr. Toggle. So Mr. Toggle says, okay, wait, and he pulls out like a controller. You can see it in the episode. In the book, I think he describes it, but I'm not really sure. But in the episode, as far as I'm concerned, I'm pretty sure probably the same thing happens in the book. I just can't remember that specific detail. But he pulls out a controller and he stops Dr. Shriek from holding Jerry, revealing that Dr. Shriek is actually an animatronic, a very intelligent animatronic that Mr. Toggle created. And basically, after that, Jerry's like, okay, well, you're the actual villain of this story. And Mr. Toggle explains his, why he does it. He says, music is too hard to create. It has to be natural. So he lures people into the school and he takes their hands and he creates this music with just the hands playing. And all the instructors are just these robots that he created and stuff like that. But this is the part where the ghost from Jerry's house connects in, because it turns out that the ghost in Jerry's house is actually one of the victims of the Shriek School, and she wants to get Mr. Toggle back for revenge. So she saves Jerry, and in the episode it is shown that she makes Mr. Toggle play the piano forever, I guess. In the book, she kind of just saves Jerry and tells him to leave while you still can, and then it never really cuts back to that. And in that's pretty much how the episode ends. Just shows her forcing Mr. Toggle to play the piano forever. In the book, however, at the ending of the book, he talks about how he quit piano lessons and now he kind of wants to try out baseball because everybody tells him that he has good hands. So it kind of hints at, well, maybe he's not going to have a good time with baseball either. Maybe some strange things are going to happen there as well. That's pretty much what happens with the book. So what are my thoughts with Piano Lessons Can Be Murder? What do I think about it? I'm going to be quite honest with you. I am very, very surprised by how much I actually enjoyed this book. I thought it was really, really creepy. And if you watch the episode before you read the book, you're going to have a very bad impression on this, because I don't think the episode is the best episode in the world. I definitely do enjoy it a lot more than I did when I was younger. I rewatched it about a week ago just to see how I felt about it. Actually, I rewatched it after I read the book a couple days ago, because I have not watched a lot of I've been rewatching Goosebumps episodes after I read the books for them, but before I started getting back to reading the Goosebumps books again, I have not watched Goosebumps books in a couple of years, so I had to get a little bit of a refresher. But I would say if you read the cover or you watch the episode before you read the book, you're going to have a really bad impression on how you feel about this book. And I've heard a lot of negative reviews about Piano Lessons Can Be Murder and stuff like that, saying that it's really boring and things like that. I completely disagree. I am very, very surprised from what I heard of how much I did actually enjoy this book. I really liked the pacing. I thought this book played it smart. It didn't have the same uniform plot as a lot of other Goosebumps books do. Like I said at the beginning, when I was going over everything, this is one of the very few Goosebumps books where it's actually an only child character, and I think that works a lot better for this book, and R.L. Stine made a smart choice by doing that, making Jerry an only child. Also, I really like how, he makes this book a little bit more complex in the sense that he adds a subplot that eventually connects to the main plot, and it connects to the main plot towards the ending of the book, and that subplot kind of helps save Jerry at the end of the book. I thought that was really, really smart. That's not something that Goosebumps books do very often. Most of the time, Goosebumps books are very, very straightforward. Yes, they'll have a subplot, but the subplot isn't anything scary. It's just something that kind of helps fill in time or whatever. But in this case, he did a really good job filling in time with something that would actually pay off towards the end. So I thought R.L. Stine did a really good job making this a little bit more complex and not just the same uniform Goosebumps books as he usually does. I thought that the whole, talk about the excellent hands and stuff like that was very, very creepy. And I also think Mr. Toggle as a twist antagonist towards the end, very, very clever. In fact, when I read this book, I completely forgot actually what the ending was and how it all went down, because I hadn't watched the Piano Lessons Can Be Murder episode in a long time. So luckily, I was very, very surprised by the twist ending towards the end. I honestly did not see it coming. I thought Mr. Toggle was just going to save him from Dr. Shriek towards the end, and then there would be something after that. But it turns out Mr. Toggle was the antagonist all along, and his motivation is very, very evil and creepy, and just downright wicked. So overall, I think this is a really creative Goosebumps book. It's not the same boring uniform structure as a lot of other Goosebumps books are, and I will say I'm pleasantly surprised. Now, this isn't the best Goosebumps book I have ever read. I'm just very surprised by actually how much I enjoyed it. But overall, I think it's a slightly above average Goosebumps book. So how much would I give it? On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10, a solid 7 out of 10. It did surprise me. I was expecting to give this book maybe like a 4 or a 3 out of 10, but a 7 out of 10, heck, that's pretty good, and I'm pleasantly surprised. One thing I did forget to mention, I'm not really sure, I'm kind of hung on which, actually, I do like the book ending a lot more than the episode ending, because the book ending, it didn't ruin anything for me. It wasn't cringy like the episode ending where she's just forcing Mr. Toggle to play the piano or whatever. I thought that was really cringy. But as far as the book ending, it wasn't anything too amazing. It was just the usual ending where they kind of foreshadowed something else to continue after the book. So it wasn't very creative, but I actually kind of liked the book ending a little bit more than I liked the episode ending, but neither of them were very good. And that's one of the things that kind of brings the score down for me. I think the ending could have been done a little bit better, although I think that the twist before the actual conclusion was already really good to warrant this book a 7 out of 10 for me. So yeah, that's it for Piano Lessons Can Be Murder. So stay tuned for the future reviews and planned videos that I discussed at the beginning of the video. Read the community post to stay up to date with any potential future changes, and join the Discord. The link will always be in the description of every video. Other than that, like and subscribe, guys, and I'll see you next time.